And here we are. It is the Special Mark Productions 15th anniversary AMA, and I am Mark the Movie Man. Thank you for joining us tonight. Not sure who's going to show up and when and where or exactly how we're going to play this, but we're just playing it loose like we always do. We have one viewer already, and welcome, and I appreciate you joining in tonight. And yeah, we got we're playing it loose, so you are more than welcome to ask us anything about our shows, interviews, time on YouTube, whatever you care to ask about as far as in regards to YouTube content creation and all that. Maybe a little personal, but probably won't get too personal tonight. So hope you all join in and look forward to talking about this. Now, we're doing a little retrospective, and thank you so much, Jenma Rocks, for joining us tonight, and congratulations on making it so long. I'm not sure what it says about me for being on here for 15 years, but I never quit, I guess, is what the big deal is I always have ideas. So the first video that I ever posted on YouTube, 15 years ago today, because it's my birthday as well. And here on my birthday, decided, I came across, I should put it like Splinter. 15 years ago, I created content. No, but I don't look quite like Splinter, I guess. But yeah, 15 years ago, thank you. Facebook. I can't quite see who you are. If you do want to have your name up in lights, who commented on Facebook, you do have to go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and let it access your name. But thank you very much, all of you from my Facebook viewers out there for joining us tonight. Yeah, we got a few people here, but for 15 years now, I have created content here. Before that time, I used to torture my friends with my videotapes whenever they came over, playing them for whoever decided to stay. Then, one day, I came across a video of kids laughing at the mall. Soon I was watching more videos. The Star Wars Kid, The Evolution of Dance, and of course, Numa Numa. I too started to post videos, particularly movie reviews. More people posted videos, and YouTube grew, and I began to getting subs. As the years went by, I came up with more shows and soon gave them all names. Lonely Trooper, It's Finally Mine, The Spoiler Room, and The Final Cut. And so there you go, folks. Bring back the hair. I wish I could bring back my hair. But it's age. It's age, which is funny. When I would shoot the videos, the behind the scenes, I'll tilt my head down and I go, oh, well, there's a lot less up there than there was before. So, but yeah, I posted a video. The Princes of the Universe was the first one that I posted. I had transferred from the SVHS, which I still have the copy of that, as well as some of the other video projects I had done back in '96 when I was part of student television and in college. And yeah, so we got Angelica here. Mr. Andrew Shearer is in here as well. So glad to see you all. And it's good to hear, Jenma. I'm glad you like Princes of the Universe. Funny thing is, in '96, of course, we didn't have the digital tech. So I used a AB deck, VHS AB deck, and made the Princes of the Universe video. So, that's how old that video is. So if you look at it, that's the original copy that is on the channel. I could play it here, but I'll probably get dinged by at least 3 different channels for copyright: Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. But yeah, Princes of the Universe was one of the very first videos I made, even just on my own in college. So, and that's also where I did student television. When I switched majors, I was going to be a marine biologist. And I went in a marine biologist 2.5 years in. I was like, nope, not for me. I took my first comm course. I'm like, why didn't I do this sooner? And video production and broadcasting. And for those who care, that that was what started. So when I went into that, we have on campus here at UWSP, we have a student television, and I ended up joining that and doing jobs there, working behind the scenes with the equipment and such. And actually, I was wrong. The Princes of the Universe was not the first video, but it was one of the first videos I published on the YouTubes. Just giving it a whirl. I didn't think anything would come up with it. Plus, it was 2006, so I figured it might be a fluke. But hey, we'll go for a ride, and here we are, 15 years later, still tormenting people with videos. So yeah, if you got a question, put it in the comments here. Otherwise, let me see if I can pull that up for you fine folks. If anyone is curious, those fine few who may not have seen the video, let's post that out there for you. If you all should get it, just click on that link. That's the Princes of the Universe that I made. I made another one then, the Gotta Wear Shades Back to the Future music video was the other fan-made music video I made back then too, in '96. So got a few videos out there. Okay, so there's a number of people out there, not a lot, but some, who have asked me about the student television stuff. And of course, I still have it because I am a hoarder of digital media, especially stuff that I've produced. And yes, there is a footage that I have posted that a clip of myself from that wonderful time. And so what I will do is I'm going to play it tonight for you folks, so you can all laugh and see kind of where I came from in '96. So yeah, here, let's see if I could get this to work. First time I'm using all these extra features here on live stream. So let's see what we can do here. We want to do the audio, and yeah, we'll share this, and yeah, see if this works at all without giving anybody a headache. And yeah, prepare yourselves accordingly.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
He slimed me.
That's great!
Mad Love gets a B+ in my book. A beautiful film, great romance, and perfect if you want to cuddle up for that with that special someone of yours. Pop in an old movie, take some popcorn, and enjoy your Valentine's Day. Now, when we return, I will give you a quick look at a very quick action film. When we return. Mortal Kombat! Yes, that's the next movie I'd like to review for you today. Mortal Kombat. No, not the video game, not the arcade game, not even the one that's on the little green screen called Game Boy. No, this is the actual live action film, and one of the only big stars in this film is Christopher Lambert. There's a lot of minor stars that we have never seen before, but hey, they're great at martial arts, so might as well put them in a film. Mortal Kombat. For those of you who haven't played the game, it's simple. We have this Emperor Sorcerer, Shang Tsung, and he's trying to get into our world. He lives in another dimension. He has to win 9 tournaments in Mortal Kombat. Well, he is on his 9th tournament now, and 1 more to win. That's all he needs. Him and his cohorts, you know them, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, all our famous bad guys that you got to beat up in the video game, come to life on the screen. Well, they're trying to get into our real world, and the only thing standing between them and conquering the entire universe is Sonya Blade and Liu Kang, and of course, the immortal Johnny Cage. And, well, do they win? Well, I won't ruin it for you. This film does justice to live-action video game films. There was Street Fighter. Forget that movie. Super Mario Brothers, I don't believe I even mentioned that. Mortal Kombat has just blown me away, and I have gained complete respect for live-action video games, movies, if they're done like this. Now, in this first clip, we will see that they have action, lots of action, just like the video game, and it's so well choreographed and directed that you swear you were watching and living the game. Let's watch.
Helps to unmute yourself. Anyway, we won't be looking at the footage only because, the ye old copyright police are out in full force, and yeah, that'd be funny on my 15th anniversary to get a strike on it. But there's a little taste of the Mark from 1995. About 50 pounds less, and wow, yeah, okay. Some things never change, and some things definitely change. But we actually have a question here tonight, our first one from Mr. Andrew Shearer. So let's get to it. He said, what movie have I seen the most times? And that is a tough one, of course, because I watch a lot of movies. And even though I have lots of them here, I tend to fall back on ones that, I really enjoy. It's going to be... it's hard to say. I may have watched Batman 1989 more than Maximum Overdrive, but it's a close one. It's a close race there. I think I've watched those two the most with a Clue coming in at second. So it tells you about my personality, but yeah, definitely the 89 Batman. That's that milestone film, which I had the pleasure the other night to be on Mike Crowley's You'll Probably Agree show, which should drop soon, talking about Batman Forever. And I got on a little rant because, 89 was just one of those milestone movies, those ones that just affect you, that you see that and you're like, wow, you could do that, in film. And I've seen a lot of wows during the 80s, but definitely the 89 one and Maximum Overdrive, that cocaine fueled horror film, I just love. It's just so crazy. And I don't know if I'd like it as much if it wasn't for the AC/DC soundtrack, which I was happy to get on vinyl finally. But yeah, so to answer that question, I hope I answered that. That's the movie I've seen probably the most times is Batman 89 and Maximum Overdrive. And then, I know it's more than Star Wars. I know it's a shock, and then Andrew's got a follow-up question. It's like, what's the best movie you'll never watch again? Oh man, that's a tough one. I really enjoyed Saving Private Ryan. Okay, I'm going to go out there and say I really enjoyed Saving Private Ryan, but that's one that, I'm not sure. I think I may have revisited it once, but it was tough. just because of the way they put that film together and everything in that first opening, the D-Day beach. It's so tough to watch, and it's a solid film, but it's just so tough to watch that one. Great performances by all, but I think that's one that I probably would not revisit again, because I'll watch anything. I will watch anything at least once. So, and I've proven that with some of the movies that I've reviewed over the years. So, but yeah, I would say that one. That one's probably it. And yeah, Doc mentioned that I'm going to be a BFD with merch, and I can't reach Corey Udler's status, but I could try with that and get a banner for that. Ye old banner. We used to give him a lot of crap. He's one of the many people I got to know from the Oshkosh Horror Film Fest, which I ended up attending the second year, thanks to BFD, Mr. Glenn Bittner, who's been on the podcast and such many times, was on our 15th anniversary episode. He told me about it, and so much spawned from that festival. It's just insane to think about that of what spawned just from that festival, and the friendships and films and everything that's came from that. We need a Looper remake with 1995 Mark and 2021 Mark. Yeah, sure. I could try to stop myself from doing a couple of the reviews, or try to figure out what I was thinking. I not a lot of that footage is ever going to hit the public, folks. I'm just sorry. It's really cringy to watch, but I realize watching it back then, my opinions have definitely changed over the years, because I didn't rate Nightmare Before Christmas that high, which surprised the hell out of me when I watched it, because I listened to the soundtrack constantly, but I think I gave it like a middle of the road rating, and I'm like, what in the who are you? So yeah, I wouldn't mind going back in time and giving myself a couple slaps, in the face there. So I'm glad that someone enjoys seeing my old footage. Not quite sure who you are, folks, unfortunately, with the Facebook ID, but yeah, I'm glad someone does. So, and Doc, yes. Doc has, we have lots of footage and things that will probably never hit the public from our days of running around with the video camera. Although, Doc, I don't know if did you ever post on your website of the Cops parody that you did when you were coming over to my house for Grill Out? That was hilarious. That was a fun evening, and I think I knocked over the grill at that point. And we have someone who's asking if I had to give my top 10 best films of the 2010s decade, what would it be? Oh, see, I knew these were coming, and if anybody's listened to our shows, I'm horrible with lists. I am. That's why I hardly know them, because I can never decide. But let's see what I can come up with of the 2010 movies. I gotta try to remember what all came out back then. Let's see. I know it's just a decade ago, but let me see. Well, I mean, one of them for sure was Mad Max Fury Road. That film, one of the modern films that I would not shut up about. I really dug that film. I enjoyed it so much, more than I thought I was going to. Yeah, that was one of those that really knocked me for a loop, and I really enjoyed that. I think what else was out of the 2000s? Again, I am horrible with these, but let me see if we can pull up the IMDb and see what else came out in the 2000s. I did dig the original Avengers, so there's that. I thought that was really well done. I thought that it surprised me. It made me laugh. Maybe really appreciate what they were trying to do in the MCU. I know I give MCU shit, but I give DC shit too. So, but I'll say that's probably was a surprise, especially coming from the decades of time when we didn't have a lot of really great films. So there's that one. Wow. I mean, there's so many films that have come out this past decade. Let me see, what else can I think of? I enjoyed no one else did, but I enjoyed Greatest Showman. That was my best film, one of the better modern musicals, if you will. I thought I enjoyed it. I know others did not care for it too much, but I just enjoyed the music. The music really struck me. It struck me more than it did with La La Land. And yeah, I've given my opinion on La La Land too, but let's see, what else can we talk about on there? Yeah, The Avengers was fun. What else was really good that I enjoyed out of here? I did enjoy Captain America, Winter Soldier. That's probably one of my favorite Marvel films to come out. I really enjoyed that one. There was others as well. Not a lot. It's like you watch so many of them that it kind of blends together after a while. But let's see. I think Midsummer. Oh, there's The Witch. That one I really enjoyed quite a bit. That one surprised me as well. That was a period piece. Didn't think it was going to be a period piece. And I just got into that film a lot. And Get Out, I thought was fun. That's a really solid film, and that one is made by someone who was a horror fan, and you can tell that they were a horror fan. And I know they had a lot of references, but they still made it their own. And yeah, it's Get Out, a lot of horror. It's actually kind of funny how much horror made this surge in the 2010s, and it was great to see, being a horror fan. So a number of the films that I really thought were solid, were horror films. But yeah, I mean, that's just some of them. I'm not sure if I could give a top 10. I'd have to really dig through the list, and I'm sure that'd be very interesting for people. Yes, I enjoyed Last Jedi. I wouldn't say best of, but it was still very enjoyable. Skyfall was a solid, that was a really solid James Bond film for sure. Then what else did we have back then? Parasite just came out a few years ago. A lot of stuff that I remember earlier. Stuff was a little harder to remember for me because I can barely remember what I had for breakfast the other day. But those are just a few that have stood out for me. There were some unusual ones, though. That's what I really liked about 2010 was the decade, the 2010s, is you got some unusual films, films that you didn't think would, that you wouldn't think you would see on the big screen. We had in there the, which one was it? Under the Skin. Under the Skin, what came out, as I mentioned, The Witch. We got, I think, didn't Green Inferno come out in the 2010s, or was that a little earlier? It was, so we had those, just films that you never thought would get made. The one that was really divisive with Jennifer Lawrence a while back, Mother. That one, I loved the fact that there were some filmmakers out there that took a chance, and you got these films that normally those of us who consume indie films would end up seeing on screen. So yeah, I've enjoyed a lot of those quirky films for sure. Probably one of my other favorite family anime films was going to be Kubo and the Two Strings. That one really hit me, and that would be on one of my top 10 best of the decades was Kubo and the Two Strings. I believe that came out during the 2010s. That one, you know, I love everything from was it Leica Studios? I hope I pronounced that right. But yeah, Kubo is one that really just struck that chord with me. So I hope that answered some of it. Again, lists are always tough for me. You just Derek Carey, I think Mr. Derek Carey pulled his hair out at one point. One of our Tiger Requiem for a Dream plane gutted me. That guts a lot of people. That's a rough one to watch. I think I've only watched that one once as well. So yeah, and yeah, you're right. I did rave about Nightmare Before Christmas, but for some reason on my show I didn't rate it as high. I have no idea why. That's why that I would go back and slap myself. Oh, Miss Angelique said her first video creation was a Batman movie they made in her friend's basement. That is awesome. That is fantastic. Yeah, this is what, you know, what happens when it goes from film to camcorders in the 80s. More and more people, it was easier to pick up, cheaper to shoot on for sure rather than film. And while it didn't look great, hey, you were making something and you could do things that you had only seen on the big screen for years. So that's awesome that you made a Batman movie. She said most of the movie footage was us rolling a toy Batmobile across the floor while singing the Batman score. Hey, that sounds like I'd watch that. I would totally watch that because I'm a sucker for Danny Elfman, and I that's one of the best you know, themes I think to ever come up with. And Angelique agrees. The Vitch is perfect. Yeah, talk about your atmospheric horror film right there. That it was just crazy and just grabbed me. And it's not going to be for everyone because there's not a huge amount of action, but that's atmosphere, that creepiness, the color palette where they kind of wash things out. Everything's kind of got these gray tones to them, and the fact they're using their original, you know, language, and that just makes it a little bit surreal and a little bit of extra creepy for the Vitch, and especially some of the underlying themes they have in Black Phillip. I mean, who, you know, who didn't, you just couldn't get away that to make a goat one of the really coolest characters to come out of a horror film. That takes some work. So we have here, what is your favorite food and drink? Well, the favorite food is going to be nachos. I love nachos. I love a lot of Hispanic food, but definitely nachos. Any form of nachos I can. I have done all variations of nachos, from tuna nachos to burger nachos, ham nachos. Yeah, I've made them all. I accidentally, funny story with nachos was one time I thought I had chili pepper. True story. And it was cinnamon. So I put a whole bunch on my nachos, on the cheese, had the cheese all shredded. Yay, I put it in the microwave. Yeah, get it out. Take my first bite and go, that's awfully sweet. That's not really spicy. And then I took another bite and yep, sure enough, cinnamon. I had grabbed the wrong shaker. I never looked at what I was. And yeah, it ended up being cinnamon nachos, which actually tasted pretty good. You can try it sometime. It's definitely different, but I think, yeah, you should definitely try it sometime because it was still tasty. It was still tasty. Of course, I ate it. I mean, you're not going to toss nachos, right? As far as drinks, it used to be Mountain Dew until, I got older and had some health checkups, and suddenly Mountain Dew, it wasn't. I still have an occasional Dew. No worries there. But my favorite drink right now, actually, I really enjoy coffee, which is a shocker because I never used to drink coffee. But I was working at Land's End, and they had free coffee there during your shift, and I tight on cash, so I was like, okay, I'll try it. And after a few times, I got hooked to coffee. But For the longest time, it was Mountain Dew. I consumed it like water. The sheer volume of Mountain Dew I consumed in college, my pancreas, I'm surprised, is still living inside me and didn't run for the hills because it was, which was funny because earlier and this shows you my age, folks. I used to drink Coke Classic. Yes, Coke Classic, not the new Coke. That tasted like crap. Coke Classic. And I was a big Coke drinker for a long time, which is surprising. Even me, I'm like, wow, really? Because I'm not a big fan nowadays. But yeah, used to be Mountain Dew. And Doc can definitely confirm it was Mountain Dew. Yeah, all that sugar. Hey, I've got you here. And I don't know if you find it interesting, but another story involving Mountain Dew. One night, Doc and we had a bunch of friends over, and we were playing poker with candy. And it was Skittles and Smarties, and I think there was M&Ms maybe in there as well. We had like 3 or 4 different kinds of candy that we were playing. And and then we had these supersized cups filled with Mountain Dew. And if you're from that age, when they were doing the value meals, they gave away supersized cups. Yes, this story, Doc. Hey, it's my show, man. Deal. No, just kidding. Anyway, so at one point I decided to take all my winnings and dump them in the cup of Mountain Dew. Now, if you combine that sugar with the sugar in Mountain Dew, you get this kind of gray beverage that has a pure sugar foam on the top of it. That my friends and I, we drank it, and everything was funny for like the rest of the night. Air was funny, but a little, whatever it is, the end credit sequence, if you will. I ended up pouring some into an ice tray. I was pouring some in the ice tray, and I was going to freeze them to make ice cubes, sugar ice cubes, right? Well, I forgot about them. And I went back to college because this is when I was still doing, I was in college. So I went back to college, and my mom called me like a week later, and she said, oh man, she's like, I think something was wrong with the ice tray. And I'm like, why? What are you talking about? She's like, well, there was this gray water in one of the ice cubes tray. It looked like almost like it had molded. So I had to toss it. And I'm like, that's weird, Mom. Huh. Wonder what happened with that ice cube tray. So yeah, so there you go. My Dew and candy story. So yeah, we got another question here of my favorite 80s comedy. Well, that we had a lot of great comedies in the 80s. But it's gonna be tough, but I gotta say Clue. For me, Clue was probably for me, and we had a lot, like I said, we had Airplane, which is just hilarious. Don't get me wrong. Airplane is up there on the list. That was golden age of Zucker Brothers, and when they could actually do parody films, unlike, later on when you just got Not Another Whatever or Epic Movie. Ugh. But back in the mid 80s, you had those great parody movies, and Clue definitely, I will fall back to that sucker any day of the week. Yeah, that's one that I think it's still, you can appreciate today. It's totally a parody on the 12 Little Indians. Apologize for the title. That's what it was called. The kind of a murder mystery story, but yeah, it's Clue. Yeah, I know. Gemma says not Mel Brooks. No, Mel Brooks was funny. Don't get me wrong, but I think Mel Brooks's two most top films for me that are Mel Brooks funny films are still going to be Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. Those, I think, and those came out within a year of each other. And those, I think, are just phenomenal Mel Brooks films. But even with those, Clue still will win out for me nearly every time. because yeah, I think, and then Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles was 74. So as far as 80s go, Clue is it, and it's safe, folks. There's no nudity. It's one of the rare, really funny 80s comedies that didn't have nudity in it. Trading Places is also hilarious, but I was too young to really watch Trading Places, though I may have watched it on beta one day when I was homesick a couple times. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. So there you have it. Clue is for that one. We got another question here. If I had to make my dream movie, what would it be and who would I cast in my movie? Wow. Okay. Pulling out the heavy questions. Okay. If I had to make a dream movie, and this isn't really a cop out, but I would say I would honestly love to see a movie, a crossover movie, either between MCU and DCU, in all honesty, or something done properly where you had a bunch of different horror icons in the same film. And I think with a good story, you could pull that off. But, with the cast that you have. So, I know that's kind of a cop out, but I've never thought of a true dream movie. I mean, I've got scripts, of course, but as far as a dream movie goes, I would honestly love to see a DC Cinematic Universe and Marvel Cinematic Universe crossover, only because it would be great to see how the fandom and the toxic fans out there would handle something like that, especially if it ended up being really good. So, I think that would be just fun to see the internet try to melt on that one quite a bit. So otherwise, yeah, I don't have too many dream movies like, wow, man, I wish they would have made that. But there's some fun films out there and some things that I'd love to see those crossovers, or as they tout, like a Expendables of horror, but we'll probably never get that. Maybe a Flash Gordon sequel. Flash Gordon, there you go, a modern update of Flash Gordon, where it is an older Flash, and I could see that, and you could get some of the cast back. I'm sure Sam Jones wouldn't mind coming back for that. And yeah, I think that would be fun to see, get an update there. But you got to keep the colors, because the colors make that film for sure. So what else do we got on here? We got of course. Oh, you're gonna make me choose. This is like choosing between your children. Come on. What's my favorite movie made in Wisconsin? All right, I put myself up first. All right, I get it. So, favorite movie made in Wisconsin. I don't want to insult anyone or feel bad that I left them out, but it's. I really, really dug Gags. I have to say, Gags. I've watched a lot of Wisconsin horror, and I've enjoyed all of it. Okay, in many different forms, I've enjoyed all of it. And right next to Gags would probably be Dead Weight, but definitely Gags was just, the short film was solid, and then Gags came out, and it delivered what you hoped it would deliver from that short. But again, I love all the Wisconsin horror. Yes, that's a cop-out answer, but it's very true. Hard for me to choose, be choosing between my children. But if push comes to shove, Gags would be probably at the top of that list, which I was at the premiere for. And that was so much fun, at least the Wisconsin premiere I was for. I drove all the way to Green Bay, hour and a half, met up with our good friend, Mr. Derek Carey, filmmaker, podcaster extraordinaire, editor, and we went to that. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And the Blu-ray is awesome. They did a lot of great work on that film, and it was great to see the success that came from that. Then, yeah, there was Dead Weight as well, which I'm going to share with you, folks, and we'll get back to your question in a minute, but I want to share with you. And Doc was there. He was my cameraman. We happened to be at the world premiere of let's not start comparing movie premieres now. I'm not because all the premieres were so much fun, each in their own right. But I wanted to share this because this was one of those great fond memories I've had over the 15 years of doing this. Doc was there. I think it's the only type of interview ever done of its kind, whether popular or not. We're at the Dead Weight premiere, and we decide to have a premiere in probably one of the most unusual places. So let me see if I can get this up. And yeah, I want to share just at least a little bit with you of this interview, if you all will humor me, because it is one of my fondest memories over the past 15 years. So let's see if we can do this again properly. All right. I don't have to necessarily be in here if we Mark the Movie Man here, Final Cut, in the most interesting interview place probably on the planet. And I'm here with Adam and Lee, and they are also part of the Dead Weight family. Now, why don't you just introduce yourselves, tell us what part you played in the movie.
I'm Adam Arlett. I co-wrote and co-directed Dead Weight.
I'm Lee Barone. I was a producer, script editor, and I acted in a small role.
And location scout. Location scout, very key.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Well, why don't you tell us just a little bit about what Dead Weight's about? I'm sure you've been asked that many times, but
yes, folks.
Just a short bit.
Yes, folks, that is in the men's bathroom.
So just tell us about Dead Weight, what it is. Oh, hey, we got a girl in here too.
That was Joe Sater. I'm going to go. She plays the role of Drew. This is Michelle Corbin.
Hi.
Sheridan. Okay, so Dead Weight is the story of Charlie Russell, who, as he trucks through the wilderness after a viral outbreak sort of crumbles civilization, or civilization falls apart. And he's on a journey to reunite with his girlfriend Samantha. So the story basically picks up with Charlie, follows him with the group of people that he's met up with as they go through the wilderness, and then through a series of sort of flashback type scenes, we also learn about Charlie and Samantha's history together, how they met, their relationship, and all that fun stuff. So it kind of bounces about a little bit.
Character piece,
Oh, yeah.
basically, more so than a regular horror type.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys are joking right now.
No,
Yeah, we are.
totally.
So you want to talk about how it's more of a character than
Oh, it's absolutely, people who are looking for an action-packed, infection movie.
Yeah.
That's not this movie, and it's not supposed to be this movie. This is all, the dialogue and the story, you guys wrote it. They wrote it for dialogue and story. It's all about the character interaction, which is unbelievable.
Well, it sounds like a more old school horror piece than your more modern horror piece.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm more of a fan of that stuff too.
Sure.
Like Carpenter's The Thing is my favorite movie ever made. So, and that's. I hope you like him, and I hope you like him the sound of pee on the interview. That's awesome. But I'd say it's definitely a lot more akin to some of them. Yeah, if people come into this looking for gore and looking for like gratuitous violence or sex or anything, like they're gonna be real bummed. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, it takes place in the wilderness. We're in Wisconsin. Was location scouting really hard?
Yeah.
Actually,
It was, well,
Don't lie.
It wasn't hard at all. I just
Shit.
I went out to my stepdad's house and I'm like, that looks good. And then I
Drove down the street. That looks good.
drove
You
down the
owe
street.
me.
I was like, neighbor's house. That looks good.
We basically filmed all of the stuff that's kind of post-apocalyptic, which is about 65-70% of the story. Filmed it all in 4 locations.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice. Well, with a limited budget,
just cut through here.
You can cut through.
Just checking right here.
Well, I know it's a big thing. Just one thing I gotta say, my wife's favorite line so far from the trailer is, "I gotta get to Wausau." For some reason, that just makes us laugh because we're from Wisconsin. We go, nobody goes to Wausau.
But you'll see why they do.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason. And didn't you post that? Were you the one that posted? That's going to be a classic line from.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
So, well, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Adam. Thank you very much, Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I know, big night for you guys. So
Yeah.
much ago. I look forward to watching it and reviewing it. It's probably going to get good reviews.
I think this interview will get the better review. Straight from the men's toilet. Sorry. Hard, baby.
It's already recording. So.
Well,
We should do you want me in a stall? Is that what
You talk there, I'll be over here. You live in the store, you don't necessarily need me, it's more John.
John.
All right, we ready? Good. John, it's a big night for you.
Yes.
Dead weight. Now, you're pretty excited. Now, we were talking to Adam. He told us a little bit about the movie. Could you tell us what was the hardest part did you find when doing this film? What was like I know you had a lot of them, but what's like the key that sticks out like, man, this was the hurdle that I had to get over?
I think the hardest part was probably staying fully committed and fully driven for 2.5 years. I think that probably was the toughest because at the end of 2010, I sold a business that I co-owned to work on Dead Weight full time.
Sure.
And so that meant for the last 15 months, I haven't had a job with income.
Right.
And so it's been frustrating because it's been broke, not sleeping, stressed out all the time. And then 2.5 years is a long time to work on one project. So just keeping that excitement and that energy was really difficult, but at the same time, when you're involved with so many people, so many awesome people like we have working on the film, it's pretty easy too.
Oh, that's great. And do you have any recommendations like for guys who are trying to start out making a movie, like say ourselves? Where's a good starting point? What should they really focus on first when starting out? Should they be getting the money or the script or what?
I would say first things first. If you want to do it, you got to be committed, and you got to know that it's going to be really tough. It's going to be challenging. You're going to want to give up. You're going to want to cry. You're going to want to scream, but you've got to get past it. So I would say that's the first thing. But script is a big thing. Don't worry about money right away. Don't worry about money. But I would say when writing your script, keep in mind what you think you might be able to afford. Where you don't want to have cars exploding everywhere and stuff like that. If you're only going to be shooting with a couple $1,000s or whatever, so. Start with the script because every film needs a script and the script is the foundation. So I think that's a good place to start and work on that and then start thinking about who you know that have this location, that have this talent, that have this skill. And especially independently, you got to pool as many resources as you can to pull off your film.
Great. Well, thanks. And just one more thing. Where can they find this after here? I know Oshkosh is not your only stop. It's just the starting point.
Right. Yeah. Carryingdeadweight.com is our website, and on there you can find all the info about the movie. You can also go to the store where you can purchase the DVDs, T-shirts, posters, all the goodies that we have. But then on Friday, April 13th, we'll be part of a panel at C2E2 in Chicago, talking about what it takes to create a horror project in the community. And then the next day, April 14th, we'll be screening at the Chicago Fear Fest.
Oh,
So
exciting.
yeah, so that's our first film festival. So we're really excited about that.
That's the one where they're showing the Hatchet 2 and they're
Hatchet
showing
and
Rex 3. Oh, man.
And Juan of the Dead and
Juan of the Dead.
yeah, Juan of the Dead will be there. So
That's a big crowd for you guys.
yeah, so we're really, really excited about that. But then we're hitting the road and we're going to be going to a lot of different conventions. And Jess Ader stepping in. Jess, come on, say hi. Say hi.
We caught him Gene already. So-
How's it going?
Well, I know it's a big night for you now, so we're going to let you go, but I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you guys very much. And
Thank you.
I have paint on my hands, so you don't want to.
No, that's fine.
And we'll
Paint
chat
your hands.
afterwards too.
Yeah, that's
And yeah, so I appreciate you folks sitting through that, but yeah, Dead Weight was great. Mr. John Pata, who put on the horror film festival, the Oshkosh Horror Film Festival, which had so much spawn from it. It's crazy what we had here. And yeah, I appreciate John so much. He's a great guy. Very talented individual. He's been involved in a lot of indie projects. The Stylus, which just came out recently, which if you haven't caught yet, folks, you should. It's got distribution. Dead Weight did finally get distribution, and it is out there for public consumption, I believe, still. So you should check it out. But yeah, that was a fun interview to do in the men's bathroom. Not sure if I've ever seen someone else do a men's bathroom interview, but that's how we roll here. at Special Mark Productions. To catch up here, we have a question here: an actor or actress most people like but you don't like. Oh, you're a cruel person. You're a cruel person. You know, Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling, sorry. I mean, I enjoyed him in Blade Runner 2049. Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike many actors out there, but Ryan Gosling, he's really hit or miss, more miss than hit for me. He's one of those where I see his name in the marquee. It's not one that I'm going to just run out and watch, you know. So that would be my knee-jerk answer for that one. And some other stuff that we have, Smokers Gaming Lounge, which we appreciate you tuning in. Of course, appreciate that very much. Yeah, I've always said I've never played the YouTube video game properly, in that I never really joined a network. I never, tried to just keep up with the Joneses. Well, I should say I did for a while, and it was really too much juggling that, and my kids were very young at the time. So the Oshkosh Horror Film Festival, the first one, getting to know indie filmmakers, and that I suddenly found that I really loved talking to indie filmmakers and the micro budget guys and the stuff that you didn't see on the big screen, that only ran through festivals and maybe direct to video stuff. And that really grew my passion quite a bit. But I've never really scripted my videos. Occasionally I did, but not often. I've done many videos, and very few have been scripted. It's stream of consciousness, and I know that's probably not the way you should do them, nor do I do the jump cuts, but I appreciate that the dedication and passion shows. And it's just because of viewers, all of you. If it wasn't for you all, I probably wouldn't be doing this or doing as much of it. It's because of you all and your support and your kind words like this that really pull through. Smokers Gaming Lounge also mentions, I got him hooked on Lonely Trooper when I did the response to the Chad Vader episode. Funny thing with the Chad Vader reply, I wasn't sure if I should do it or not with Lonely Trooper, but I thought it was kind of fitting. And, so I just took a chance, and they were kind enough to leave the response up. And that one is one of the Lonely Trooper episodes that still has the most responses and views on out of all of them. It's crazy that one and the other one here that I'll going to show a little bit, if you'll humor me, on that. And I'll give a little bit about Lonely Trooper in just a bit. First, we have, yes, Mr. Derek Carey has joined us as well, popped in. He must have heard us talking about him earlier, but so glad he showed up. This freaking guy. Yeah, this freaking guy who's been rambling here for sure. But yes, Dead Weight is available to buy on Kino Lorber's website or to rent on Amazon. So definitely you want to check that out. So a lot of Wisconsin horrors actually out there. I mean, we spawned some of the biggest serial killers from this state. So why not also have some great indie horror come out of this state? It's those it's those long winter nights for sure that we come up with some of this crazy twisted stuff. And Facebook user, not sure who you are, but he'll sell you a DVD and give you a hug. So hugs all around. And I believe that is Mr. Lee who is commenting on that. And a hug from Lee, trust me, it's worth the price right there. Mr. Derek Carey. Whitey Tighties, boxer briefs or boxers? Well, it used to be Whitey Tighties, but now it's boxer briefs. So there you go. Now you know something you probably never wanted to know about me. Thank you to Mr. Derek Carey, who created Hole in the Wall, which, because of this journey I've been on for 15 years, because I did the final cut, I took a chance, went to Oshkosh, did some interviews with indie filmmakers, got to meet so many wonderful people who I now consider friends, many of them close friends. And Mr. Derek Carey, he was making a film called Hole in the Wall, a horror anthology film, which, if for extreme horror films out there, fans, you'll want to check out Hole in the Wall, but it's only for extreme fans because, yeah, this is some grimy stuff. But he put it together, and he asked me to be part of the crew. And being a film, like, you know, a film fan and a movie maniac, as I say sometimes, talk about holy crap. And he warned me how it was, and I didn't care. Yes, I will help you make a film. And absolutely, I helped shoot 2 of the shorts. Well, I didn't shoot. I was the script supervisor and assistant to Mr. Carey, and got to shoot the behind the scenes stuff, which made it on the DVD, which again is just mind blowing that any of this has happened. I never would have thought it would. And it's because of the opportunity Derek gave me, thanks to meeting him many years ago at that fest. So that's why I always encourage people to go to fests and meet the filmmakers and talk to them, because you may be surprised who you meet and what spawns from that. The BTS stuff, I covered that premiere as well. That was another premiere. See, people, you've got some YouTubers out there, the guys with the million views and that, they go to the red carpet stuff, but me, I'm here in the trenches, and I get to meet these wonderful people and these indie filmmakers. And some of these premieres, I think, are far more fun, and you get to have a lot more fun than you might have at a big Hollywood premiere. And if you'll indulge me again, and I may say that often because here's one I did. Now, Mr. Derek Carey, he is an editor proficionado. That's what his trade. He is a master at editing. So I gave him the footage that I did for the premiere, and he cut it together, and it's on his Rabid Child Films channel. You should check it out. And this is one of them we did with a friend of ours and another filmmaker, Mr. Corey Udler. Sans his big banner. He doesn't have his big banner in this one, but it's not that long of an interview, but it's one we shot. So here's that. Hello, Mr. Corey Udler. How the hell are you doing?
I knew it was you. I saw the shirt from 3 blocks down.
Yeah, you like my shirt, huh?
It's Friday, and this is a Friday fun shirt.
This is a Friday fun shirt. Now, we're here with Corey Udler, one of the masterminds behind Hole in the Wall. How does it feel to have this project come to fruition?
It's great, and Derek put a hell of a lot of work in on this thing. Because we were here for the Oshkosh Horror Film Festival. I don't know if it was like 2 years ago or something like that. Vote for me in November. But we were here for that, and we just kind of had the idea. We just threw it around, and we said, there's so many great filmmakers in Wisconsin. We all get along. We're all friends. We should do something. And so that was just the seed of what was planted at that point. And now to see what it is and to be here, Oshkosh at the Times, it's great, man. And it's a great movie.
And now your piece is called Ed Gein DDS, and I would say it's probably one of the lightest pieces of this film, which tells you what kind of Hole in the Wall is. Where did you get that idea for Ed Gein DDS?
It's a long story, but Tom Running, who has been in a lot of my movies and is a very good friend and a great actor, he lived next to somebody who worked at the Mendota Mental Health Institute in Madison. One day he looked outside and he saw sitting on the curb the dental chair that his neighbor had in the basement and was trying to get rid of. And it was the dental chair from when Ed Gein was a patient there. So Ed probably had some dental work done in the chair, et cetera, et cetera. And so Tom goes, "Do you want it?" And I said, "Yes." And so I sent Greg Johnson, who lived not far, because Greg's big and can lift a dental chair from 1971. And so he got it, and it stayed in my garage for a couple of years, and I didn't know what to do with it. And my wife's like, "You get that evil bastard out of here." She goes, "That's bad karma." She goes, "I know there's like something bad's happening to us because of this damn chair." And so the idea just came from Tom Lodwick, actually, who's also in it. And I was doing a podcast, Astro Radio Z at the time, and Tom was on and just threw out the name Ed Gein DDS. And I said, that's it. That's the next thing we're doing. It's absurd. So let's go.
Now you have a few talented actresses in there. Do you have a long vetting process for the actresses in your film, or do you just know some very talented ladies?
I'm just very lucky that I know talented people who will come and do this nonsense. So that's about it. But yeah, Kristen Casey, who she shows up in there. She's been in a couple of the movies, star of Girl Who Played with the Dead, Katie Paul, Amy Zaremba, and of course Heather Dorff, who everybody knows, who's shortly leaving for Los Angeles. So I got her just before
she went Hollywood.
Before she became a big star and forgets who the hell I am. So thank God I got her.
I don't think anyone can forget who you are, Corey.
I don't know. This guy certainly can't.
Well, we won't
making eyes at me over here.
There is a guy making eyes over here.
I know.
He's mine. He's mine, not yours.
Where's my banner?
Where's the banner? We don't have the banner.
This is a brown wall.
This is a brown wall. We'll post it. We'll put
Please,
post.
Yeah, yes.
We'll put a banner and post.
Screen.
Brown screen. There is brown screen in this film, actually.
There's a lot of brown screen in this film. Yeah, there's one scene that's the entire screen is brown screen.
Yes, it is. And one final question. What do you think about horror that tests people's limits as far as taste or what you watch? You think we need more horror like that around here?
I think you need it. I think you need tasteless horror done in a tasteful way. That's one thing that is not being done. It's either being done completely gross out, or without any finesse. But this actually has a lot of finesse. You know, Rob and Carolyn screaming like banshees, what they did. And of course, Greg's piece is very reminiscent of, kind of John Waters stuff. So, I mean, it's very tasteless and it's a very disgusting movie. And I think people are really going to be disturbed deeply by a lot of the shit in this movie. But I think it's done with such a kind of an attitude and a panache, if you will, that you can't deny it. It's tastelessness done tastefully.
The world is a whore that deserves nothing but death.
And that's Mr. Corey J. Udler, who's made Incest Death Squad 1, 2, and 3, Mediatrix, Girl Who Played with the Dead, some wonderful underground cinema. And his Ed Gein DDS. Well, if you heard our conversation at all about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know how Wisconsin feels about Ed Gein. So to make a comical horror film about it, yet disturbing, that's Wisconsin for you. It's Wisconsin indie horror. Angelique had asked us, which is sexier, Sax Man from Lost Boys or goth boobed strippers from Evil Bong? Well, the Evil Bong strippers did have man-eating pasties on at least one of them. But, I got to go with Sax Man. I think it's the oil. I think his oily, the abs that, everybody wished they had. And that saxophone, I used to play alto sax. So there you go, another connection. So he ekes it out, I think, over the goth boobed strippers from Evil Bong. But again, they were man-eating pasties on those strippers. So then Derek, thank you, sir. The BTS was a lot of fun, and it was great to see the footage that did make it. And it's hilarious that we will have the footage that will never make it to public, but we have for our own little collection. If Mark doesn't say Tim Capello, I may have to leave. So Tim Capello, there you go. So, I mean, I want to thank everybody here so far for joining us. We're still going to keep rolling with this. You have never seen Mark and Tim Capello in the same room at the same time. Well, some secrets have to remain secrets here in Special Mark Productions. So Smokers Gaming Lounge asks, do you still primarily watch physical movies, or do you have moved mostly streaming options? Actually, I it's about equal. with my viewing. I watch a lot of screeners, mostly, so for reviews, and most of those are digital. Though occasionally I get screeners like this one here. I have The Beast Beneath, which I'll be reviewing soon for Monsters, Madness, and Magic, which is one of the many sites I've contributed to over the years, and I'm still contributing here and there. Maybe not as much as I'd like, but I still like physical media, though. I've watched a number of films for the spoiler room, and that if I have a copy of it physically, I will watch it. I do enjoy it, and it's impressive for as much that is out there on streaming. It's more impressive what's not out there on streaming that you would think would be out there in streaming land. So for me, it's where I could find it, but I do enjoy still popping in the disc in physical media, especially when you pop in those DVDs and it says DVD, the next form of entertainment. And you're like, yeah, I know I have the DVD in the machine. Why are you promoting DVD when I have it? I always found that quite interesting, that they used to put those promos on there, and some of the trailers you get on there as well were really fun to watch, and how they teased you. As Smokers Gaming Lounge brought up Lonely Trooper earlier, and yeah, Lonely Trooper was the web series that kind of started it all. Now, what's funny is I was just learning how to do green screen, and it shows. And I also was shooting it not with DV, with a handy cam. So this was actually shot with handy cam, and I didn't have a green sheet of like cloth. So I used a piece of green paper that I put Ye Olde Lonely Trooper in front of. So yeah, and this was the second episode here. Let me see if I can pull it up. And I'll tell you just a little bit of, if anyone's interested, about how I put this together way back in 2006 or 7. So let's see if we could do this here. So there we go. I don't know if you'll hear me as well as them, but let's see.
Well, I got into my first firefight today. Yeah, there were these guys who were like trying to rescue some princess out of one of the detention cells. And there was this huge chase, and there was blaster fire everywhere, and the adrenaline's running, and there was even a saber fight between DV and some old dude. I mean, it was fantastic. It was like a real, adventure. Well, at least that's what I heard. I missed out on most of it after I took a blaster bolt to the head. Well, okay, it really wasn't a blaster bolt. It was more like, okay, I slipped in the shower, all right? I mean, the alarms went off while I was taking a shower, and there was an alert announcement about a jailbreak. I got so excited, I ended up dropping my soap. I went to grab my armor, and I slipped on the soap. When I came to, I found my...
Not sure if you guys can hear me while this is playing, but...
Immediately. Yeah, I mean, it turns out I have a new commander to report to. Apparently, my other commander, the one that I was working on to get me a promotion, he got Vadered. Yeah, you see, the jailbreak was on his watch. And,
can you guys hear me over this?
Took the heat. Literally. I guess old DV gave him the old lift and throttle technique. I mean, do you know how hard it is to try and prove
Thank you.
material when every week you have a new boss?
The way I did the voices back then was you're gonna laugh. Okay, thank you. I just wasn't sure. This first time I've tried to do this. So the first time for most of these, I had a walkie-talkie. No lie. I wrote the script out. I used a digital audio recorder next to a walkie-talkie, and then I went into the other room and read the script on the walkie-talkie. Then I would take that audio, put it into the computer, edit in the clicks, and that's how I got that initial authentic sound. So that's how I did the voices for that. For many of the episodes was with a walkie-talkie in the other room, and then some post-production editing was done, and it worked out well. I mean, it worked. I got creative, and I was using Pinnacle at the time, which wasn't the best in green screen apps at all. I later upgraded to Vegas, which helped me with the green screen. And after I practiced there with Lonely Trooper, applied it to the YouTube reviews, which now I do almost everything green screen right now. But so yeah, to answer your question, Smoker, that's how I did the Lonely Trooper voice, was through an actual walkie-talkie and a digital recorder. So speaking of Lonely Trooper, he was popular for a long time, and I piecemealed a couple of episodes here and there for him, but I don't want to just bring him back to bring him back. And I've got some storylines. I got 6 episodes worked out that I just have to shoot and do yet, and I'm working that into hopefully still going to release them this year. One of the other Lonely Trooper episodes I wanted to bring up is the Lonely Trooper Some Like It Hoth, which is outside of the reply I did for Chad Vader. This is the other Lonely Trooper episode that's gotten the most this one's got the most hits on, and we'll play a little bit of it, and I'll give you a little history of how this one came about, because this one was really kind of unplanned. So let's see if we can pull this off here.
Very long.
Let's try that again. There we go.
Naval officer didn't really last very long. Yeah, see, apparently the naval paper jockeys never officially got my transfer order from the Army paper pushers. So here I am. And when you know it, my first assignment since I got back is in the other armpit of the universe, known as Hoth. Yes, this place is the universe's largest snow cone. I think the temperature high for today was 2 degrees below freeze your ass off. Not that I'm worried about the cold, though. I am fitted with the latest in environmental armor, guaranteed to keep you warm in even the harshest conditions. And Hoth is as harsh as they come. On the bright side, though, I think my new commander really likes me. See, he gave me the sole responsibility of guarding this rebel base while the rest of the platoon went off on patrol in the mountains. Well, it's not really a rebel base so much as some rocks and a turret, but I would guard a block of ice if it meant I got that much closer to being an officer. My commander said that he would send someone out in a couple of hours to relieve me, and then we could talk about my future in the Army. I can't wait. Well, it's been 3 hours now, and still no sign of a replacement, and it's starting to snow. But I have my armor, so it's all good. Going 4 hours now, and still no sign of my replacement. I hope he gets here soon, because I think my feet have frozen to the ground. Yep, I'm definitely frozen in place, and I think my legs have gone numb. Oh, for the love of Jabba the Hutt, does this place ever stop snowing? Hey, who's out there? Hey, could you lend a hand? Or a shovel? Or flamethrower? Anything? Oh, great. I think my ass just froze off. Yep, it definitely froze off, and now it's sitting in my boots. Fantastic. I think it may be time to reevaluate my career options.
So, little story with that, and again, appreciate everybody's indulgence tonight. But that one was interesting because it was shot in April in Wisconsin, and if you're from Wisconsin and it's April, that we occasionally get snow. So, while I didn't have an idea for the next Lonely Trooper, and then it was snowing in April, so I was inspired. So I literally threw together the script. I wrote it very quickly, and instead of doing green screen, I decided to do a location shoot. And by location shoot, I mean on my porch. So I grabbed my old Hoth from the Hoth play set, the turret, which is about the only thing that survived outside of the plastic base. I grabbed that Lonely Trooper and piled up the snow and my Wampa, and I shot that with my digital video camcorder out in the snow in April in Wisconsin. So that's how that episode came about, and it's just funny how that one ended up being probably my most popular Lonely Trooper episode was that one. So yeah, but that was just off the cuff, like spur of the moment type of thing that I just decided to throw together, and it worked. So yeah, it did something right there. So and Lonely Trooper spawned from, if anybody was on the early days of YouTube, there was a vlog done by a young woman, and her handle was Lonely Girl 15. And this was in the early days of YouTube and that. So these videos looked like a regular vlog. She was talking about her life. But soon people started to question, because it actually had a very high production value, and the music they used in there seemed to be very popular, and all of this. And well, the curtain got pulled back. I think it was a year later that it was all scripted, and she was an actress from Canada and all that. But Lonely Girl 15 spawned TK422, aka Lonely Trooper episodes, and so that's where those came from. And it's some like a hot glad to hear that's your favorite episode. That's a lot of people's episodes, and so yeah, it's one of those things that just spawned out of nowhere. And yeah, oh shit, you remember Lonely Girl? Yeah. And it was funny because after the curtain was pulled back, they kind of pulled like a wrestling, back in the wrestling's real, wrestling, it's not scripted, it's real. And then when the curtain got pulled back and saying, yes, it is scripted, you started to get all this really out there storylines. Well, Lonely Girl did that as well. They got into this thing of a cult, and they started vlogs from other characters that showed up in her life, and it was wild what they did with it. Marble Hornets and Lonely Girl were scary. Oh yeah, it was some creepy stuff, and it was still the early days, so people were feeling out and showing what they could do with this, and that was one of those things that spawned early. You also would get those wonderful songs that went viral. Chocolate Rain is an awesome song. Still, I listen to it occasionally. Okay, that's back from when I started. And Will It Blend? Those were always fun episodes. One of the fun ones, that one was was Chuck Norris one that they did. That was hilarious. And man, thinking about it now, where YouTube's come from, it's crazy, because they had their own show at one time that featured all their viral folks, which wasn't many, especially as many as it was now. And they were having gatherings of YouTube users, which they still have today. I've never actually had a chance to make it, but it's just crazy having seen it grow, where it came from and where it's come from, and just to be able to still be here today contributing, and having all you folks, you fine, patient, wonderful supporters here tonight, just it means a ton to me, quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, bring the questions. Me, folks, I could just keep talking, but just to let you know, in case anybody hadn't heard, I'm going to announce it now, that for Spoiler Room, in case you haven't followed ever, that we do a special series every year. I hadn't planned it that way. That's the way it's ended up being. We started with doing a 25th anniversary, where every month we did a film that was celebrating the 25th anniversary that year. And then it spawned from there, and we did it, and a lot of people enjoyed it. Last year was the epic 52 degree KB, which Mr. Ian Simmons has joined the Spoiler Room crew and been with us ever since. A welcome addition. And but so next year, I've already got the theme for it planned, but I need your help once again, folks, and I need you to spread the word. Next year, our theme is going to be the horror of 1988. I didn't have a chance to put like a trailer together or anything, but basically a lot of horror was released in 1988. And we're going to do an episode every month, but there's a lot there, and we would love to hear what you folks would love to hear us discuss and explore. So if you go over to the website, yep, here comes the shill, license to shill, pardon me, folks, but license to shill here for myself. If you go to specialmarkproductions.com, there's a link at the top that is for the horror of 88. And I just realized it now, that just says Ho 88 poll. So take that as you will. But there is a poll there for you to do a vote. You can vote any 12 films from the 1988 that are listed there. Don't worry, it doesn't collect any personal information. It is just like a survey. You send it, and then I get an email from the system. And and yeah, you can vote for 12, and then we tally it up, kind of like we did for the Cannon Fodder episodes. And then the ones that are the most, will be the ones we talk about next year. So we've already got some folks who have voted. It is live now. The link is at the top there on Special Mark Productions. And yeah, vote away, please. We'd love to see what you folks would love to hear us babble on about. Phillips, you thought we were voting for 88 Hoes? I'm not sure we could put that on YouTube. We'd probably get a copyright strike on that if we ever do an OnlyFans site, maybe. But no, it's not for 88 Hoes. It is for the horror of 1988. So please check that out. Vote. Love to hear your thoughts on that. And since we are doing the license to shill, because as Mr. Doctavia says, what time is it? It's time to go shill. We also have merch now. I'm wearing one of the fine shirts. I finally pulled the plug and decided, what the hell? We'll do merch. And so if you're at all curious, and no one has to be at all, but if you are any inclined, you can go here and look at the stuff we got. We've got we put the name on everything. Merchandising. So giving that a shot as well. So you can check that out if you want. If not, that is fine as well. But it does exist now. So yeah, I keep the questions coming. This is a lot of fun. I still got some drink here left for us here tonight. So we'll give you a few stats here for anyone who cares. We didn't hit our 2,000 subscriber goal by today. I was trying, but it's so tough nowadays in YouTube land to get subs. Unless you join some network or something, it is tough, especially if you're like me and do many things. But we have 1,896 subs as of today for our 15th anniversary. Other little specs to know about: we have posted only 1,963. So 1,963 videos have been posted, and that's just on this YouTube channel over the last 15 years. That doesn't include the 200 and some reviews I've done, either written or video, for We Live Film, for Monsters, Madness and Magic. I used to do written reviews for a blog as well. Yeah, I mean, it's been a wild ride. I've spread myself out quite a bit, but it's been fun, and that's what I'm doing this for, is fun, as a hobby. And I've gotten to meet so many people and do so many cool things. Get to interview people I've interviewed, people I never thought I would interview. One particular person I've interviewed actually 3 times. She is the one that I think I've interviewed the most on the channel, and that is Catherine Mary Stewart. I've interviewed her 3 times, and if I, as I've told people before, if I flew back to 85, 86, 87 mark and said, hey, you're going to be able to interview, Patty Mullen, Fred Olen Ray, and Catherine Mary Stewart, just to name a few people, it would have been, you'd be like, yeah, right, get out of here, old man. Why do you look like me? Actually, you don't look like me because you seem a lot heavier. But yeah, I think one of the top interviews that I still have that gets the most hits, though, is the one that I did with Robert Zadar at the Madison Horror Film Festival. And that one, to this day, still is getting views constantly. It's just wild. It's from 2012 that I did, and unfortunately, he passed away a number of years after that. But a great guy. Here's the guy that Maniac Cop. He's the guy that fought Kurt Russell and Sly Stallone in Tango and Cash, and here I am sitting next to this guy interviewing him, and it's just mind-boggling that this little hobby that I decided to do on a whim has led me to here, getting to know all of these wonderful people who've been in the chat and asking questions tonight. And yeah, it means a lot to me. It really does, because this is just, as my wife likes to put it, my hobby. But my family's been very supportive of me over the years with this. And, it's always a learning process, always something new, always trying to branch out as well. And I've only been able to do that thanks to your suggestions and your support. It means a lot to me. I didn't think anybody would be visiting my little sliver of the internet. And I'm very happy with the success of the channel. Maybe small to some out there, but to me, so bottom of my heart, really, all of you out there who have supported, shared, whatever, listen to me ramble as I have tonight. It just means a lot. But yeah, if you still got some questions here, lay them out there. Otherwise, we may just wrap things up here for the evening. Oh, you know what? I do have to mention the spoiler room for sure. And the spoiler room cast and crew that have grown over the years. That was also a whim back when Google Hangouts was a thing and it was broadband was struggling. We did those. You can see those early episodes, and that show has grown over the years, and I never expected it to. And now I'm doing like it's finally mine. The vinyl reviews, which some people seem to dig. I have 1,000,001 ideas, and I can't just focus on one. I have to keep creating other things. And so that's why there's so many little bits out there. And so happy for everyone anyone who comes out and visits and views them at all. We got one from Doc here. Won't ask you to pick a favorite because it won't happen. You know me too well. But what are some of your favorites from the Oshkosh Fests? There's been so many, Doc. Yeah, Doc, how dare you? How dare you ask me that? Oh, you know what? We were going to end it, but we've got a lot more here. But some favorites from the fests. Let's see here. We've got, there was the Gags short. There was a Stylist short. There was a lot of great shorts that we had. The Captain one, the Wisconsin one where the monster of Lake Michigan or whatever it was called. I think there was that one too. That one was hilarious. Trying to make me pick some of my favorites. There's so many, and look at who joined us here in the spoiler room. Oh, it's been the right-hand man, and he saved me from trying to pick some other favorites from the fest with Mr. Ian Simmons. Hello, sir.
No, I'm going to still hold you to it. What are some more of your favorites?
God damn you. How dare you? Some of ones for my fest. Okay, fine. Let me see if I can let me try to pull some up here because again, I have short term memory. Yes, you did give me a topic to ramble on. That's for sure.
Well, you look that up. I'm just going to heap praise on you. First of all, happy birthday, Mark! Happy birthday, Special Mark Productions, and the YouTube channel. This is all very cool stuff. To celebrate, I got a present yesterday. This arrived. I don't know if the lighting is horrible.
The low
in here,
light is that the spoiler room mug?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, you can see it within the light.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
You got the spoiler room mug. Thank you,
of course,
very much for that.
And you can get one too. Not you, Mark, because you probably already have one. But the folks out there.
Yes, on the merchandise, for sure, if anyone's interested. So besides the ones I already mentioned, I will say Holy Hell was a lot of fun. That was a exploitation indie film. Got to interview the director. That was an interesting interview, getting to hear what he did for that film, exploitation film. And Holy Hell was probably one of my favorites from that. And that was from the 2016 festival from the Northeast Wisconsin Horror Film Festival. Mr. Ian Simmons is where we met at the Dead Weight premiere, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Many years ago. That's where we first met and kind of kept up with one another offhand on social media. And then you decided to join in on the 52 Degrees KB and look where that got you now.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing because we've only ever interacted. I think we might have said hi to each other or something at the festival briefly. But yeah, we've had our entire friendship has been virtual, but no less impactful than if we had been just hanging out at a bar or something every weekend.
In fact, somewhere around here, I still have the card you gave me from back then too, because I'm a hoarder like that.
I don't know if you gave me a card. I know I still have the poster, the Dead Weight poster that I got at that.
Oh
event,
yeah. I've got that as well. To answer Doc, of course, the Screaming in High Heels documentary, which I really enjoyed before I knew Mr. Derek Carey. So just putting it out. Yes, I'm very good friends with Mr. Derek Carey, but yes, Screaming in High Heels documentary, if you folks haven't watched it yet, is great documentary on the three very popular 80s scream queens. That 2011 Oshkosh Horror Film Fest had a lot of good stuff. I Didn't Come Here to Die was fun. Blood Junkie, that one was fun. It was funny with Blood Junkie because I saw that at the festival and then I went to Family Video, may it rest in peace, and the film was on the shelf. I'm like, holy crap, a Wisconsin film for rental. And I ended up buying it because that was one of those where they were like, oh, sell after a few months. It's like, we'll sell it for $5.
I love that the movie titles you're rattling off. They just sound like Jell-O titles or something. I Didn't Come Here to Die, Blood Junkie. I've seen Screaming in High Heels, so I'm familiar with that one. But yeah, just these are some. I love these titles.
Oh yeah, they were great titles. And for fun movies, A Cadaver Christmas is a holiday indie horror film you have to see. You have to make that a traditional watch because that one is a blast. It is hilarious, gory. Basically, a janitor takes on zombies that are released inside the school where he cleans. On Christmas.
Is that new or is that older?
No, that's from 2012, I believe.
Okay.
Well, it was out for a little while, but it made the 2012 Oshkosh Horror Film Fest. And yes, folks, if you're wondering, I am pulling up the list as well because I have the memory of a guppy, which that was one of the videos that got pulled from YouTube many moons ago. Was the fish in a tank. I made a video where I shot footage of our goldfish and then I made a horror trailer out of it. That's sitting up on the Facebook page if anyone ever wants to go to the Special Mark Productions Facebook page, not the group, the page itself. So
why did that get pulled from YouTube? I missed
because I used music. I used the trailer music from Aliens. The famous track that's been used in many trailers and some films. Was it from Orbit, and I forgot what it's called, but it's got a history to it, but it's that same sound cue. But my voiceover wasn't loud enough, so you could still hear the music, and YouTube, bam, no, we pull it. You can't show it in any of these countries, which is almost every country. So
far be it from me to question the wisdom of the YouTube overlords, but that always struck me as kind of funny. Like, do they really think that people are going to go and strip out the audio from a fan-made trailer to get the music to repurpose somehow?
I don't know. I you know, the YouTube, that is one thing that definitely is always on any YouTube creator's mind, I think, is the DCMA copyright stuff, because, you know, you have the fair use and they're like, oh, that's more like a guideline than an actual. It's like, you know, you can post whatever you want, but if someone really wants to pull your stuff, they're going to pull it. So
yeah, the one time I had experience with that was because the podcast that I do, I used to do an actual like podcast where I would have intro music and an introduction, and then I would have the trailer for the movie we were talking about, and then the conversation. When I went to start doing YouTube, I tried doing that, but there was 1 or 2 videos where I tried uploading them, and there was I don't remember if it was a processing issue or if it just refused to post them for some reason. I thought maybe that was it because I had the trailer audio in there. So I'm like, just forget about it. I'm just using the music that I actually licensed for the intros sometimes.
Yeah, and Doc says that he's gotten dinged for some cover songs during shakes. So that he does the Shakespeare for Boozy Bard. So yeah, I mean, it's weird. You know, I don't know which is weirder, is the audio or the visuals, because, you know, and I've said it before, and I'm not being the whiner, but it's just boggles my mind how there's channels that are up, that are monetizing, that are using footage that you know for almost a fact they didn't have permission. They're just using it under fair use, yet they still have their videos up with all kinds of clips in that. And I know they use filters and other things to try to get around the bots, but still, it just kind of, it's like, but then you look at the subscribers and how much, you know, ad revenue they might bring to Google, and then suddenly you realize, you know, I don't think anybody really should, especially if it's just a review. Now, if you post a full movie up,
right,
okay, but if you're doing actual commentary and a review, come on, you know, it's like.
Well, also, and maybe it's because they don't want to take the time to do this to code everything, but I would think that if you've got footage, if it's smart enough to pick up on the fact that it's footage from, say, Black Widow or something, it should be smart enough to say, okay, this is all footage that is in the trailer that we have released onto the same platform, versus this is footage that clearly came from a bootleg version of the movie that someone's putting up online.
You
know?
Yeah, you know, and that's always been the struggle. And then they branched out and started hitting the Twitch folks, which it was interesting to see the copyright DCMA start hitting Twitch folks, and all the folks at YouTube were like, they're all pointing and going, you guys are next. Oh.
Gotta love the community.
So, yes, you know. It's I mean, the community is interesting. There's it all depends on who it is, and you know, some people are just out to push themselves, and then there's others who are very collaborative. You know,
well, I'm just talking about like the community of platforms, you know, like you're talking
that
about
way
YouTube
too, yeah.
and Twitch, and,
yeah,
you know,
Patreon, and yeah,
right. You realize that this is all just, for as much as the creators want to think of it like, oh, it's just cool, we get to do our stuff and put things up. It really is, you know, we are just kind of pawns in these businesses that are competing against each other.
we are pawns. We are pawns of the streamers and the streaming providers. That's for sure. I mean, you know, we're at their whim, and at the same time, they're letting us use stuff for free. So, you know, it's one of those double-edged swords. Okay, I really love to do this, but on the other hand, you're not charging me anything to post my videos or storage for anything. So, okay.
Yeah.
And we've seen other services try to do. And Doc and I think we were having this conversation, or it was with you. there's other services that have tried to do it and with limited success or failure altogether. I mean, Vimeo's the only one that's up there that has kind of survived, but it's still not like YouTube, nor is it visited like YouTube is.
Well, it's there are alt tech platforms out there, but there's some of them, if they are surviving and thriving, then they have sort of a stigma attached to them because people get kicked off of YouTube and they go to BitChute, and you open up BitChute, and it's great because it is kind of the wild west like YouTube used to be, but it's also you can go to the front page and see like flaming swastikas on it, and I hope I didn't just get our stream pulled down.
No, you did
it. But it works and everything, but it's like, yeah, free speech, but that means that you're also kind of lumped in with everybody, and it's hard to build an audience when
you've got that. I mean, it's YouTube has always been the devil that basically, and it's still the go-to because it's the one that's got the algorithms used into one of the most popular YouTube web searches and the other tools. It's got its tendrils out in many places. So and over the years, it has been fun to watch it grow. Watching it from going from a collection where a lot of people were posting, as I joked, but kids laughing at a mall or doing goofy things at a mall. There was a lot of that back in 2006. There were, because flip phones could do video, folks. Not well, but you could do video on them. And to go from that to see it start to just grow into this beast of getting companies to start posting trailers and seeing some people skyrocket, Smosh, those guys they were early exploders, just took off, or those guys, doing their parody videos and all kinds of odd things. And yeah, you're right. It was the Wild West, and it was still people just exploring what they could do. And it wasn't quite so uniform, and it was fun. It was kind of fun because I think you still get a variety now. It's just that it's so much more than what was back then,
Yeah. And, it is so strange. Like if you think about all of the technology that we've experienced in the last 15 years, I mean, if you told me that, back then that Netflix was going to go from the company that will send me scratched DVDs of movies that I kind of want to watch to now they have original content and Oscar-winning movies that are playing in theaters or whatever, I'd be like, you're crazy, but that's where we are.
Yeah, it is, and it's and then they gave up on their disc rental for good reason. I want to be the guy who wrote those summaries on the envelopes for the movies that Netflix used to send out because they were so inaccurate. It's wild. You're like, no, I can't get that off of there. I don't know if you saw it earlier. I showed footage from my 96 video and very short of my 95 review from Student Television. And I remember having to write notes for that. And back then as well in 2006, you had IMDb in that, but it was just interesting to see how we've been able to evolve as well to where now I'm in my basement. I have a lighting set. I can do green screen and everything. And back then I kind of had to do it at the studio.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You can do stuff on your, YouTube Studio is now on your phone. I mean, you can do full production in your pocket if you need to.
And then TikTok, TikTok's exploded, which I'm dabbling in as well, because again, I can't focus on just one thing. Might be a little bigger if I could focus on one thing, but I'm more like squirrel. But now TikTok's a big thing, and seeing actually what people have been able to do on TikTok is very cool. It's wild what people, as far as editing and that, and I know the app helps with a lot of that, but you look at that, you're just like, holy crap, some of these videos with the transition type things they do in that, it's crazy. It's like, people are making all these short little videos now, and some of them have a decent production to them and some thought put into them. And it is kind of like the early days of YouTube with TikTok, in that you're getting a larger variety of content, I think, that you're able to find that's all well put together, because in the early days of YouTube, if you could put together your video well, you probably got more hits than some kids laughing at them all. Though some people, if anybody's got any questions at all in the group, please toss them out. Doc, I hope I answered some of your questions there. Those are some of the earlier ones from the fests. You know which ones I've really enjoyed. How dare you present that? One of the things that has also spawned from here is, as I mentioned, getting to know people, but I got to meet Freak Show Peterson, horror host, a Bordello of Horror, from the Vortex. If you haven't seen the Vortex, you should. A lot of great, like, independent, it's almost like, public television type thing where horror hosts are there and they do a lot of shows. But I got to meet Freak Show Peterson, Rich Peterson, there, and due to Corey's movie Incest Death Squad, I think it was 3 he was showing, 2 or 3. No, it was Mediatrix. That's right, it was Mediatrix. And that has spawned, got to know him, got to be a judge for the Madison Horror Film Festival. I've actually judged a number of horror fests, which have been always fun to do, though you have to consume a lot of film. Which I never thought would ever be a problem, but if anybody out there who's ever judged a horror fest, that could be a problem.
So what's the most number of films you've had to watch in order to be a judge?
Wow. Well, the New Horror Film Fest at one time, Dawn would know the actual amount. I watched most of them. I, all honesty, didn't. There were a number of them I couldn't get to. But there was, I forgot how many submissions, 500 or 600 maybe. I think it was insane amount of no, not 5 or 6, like 2 or 3, but it was a lot. Okay, it was hundreds. There were hundreds of submissions at that time. And it was crazy to see how many came in. And so yeah, it was that was a little tough to watch, but I've been asked to be judged for a number of times, which always boggled my mind of anyone paying attention to anything I do. So the fact that they're like, hey, you want to judge? I'm like, yeah, sure. Get to watch more indie films, which some of them were amazing and some of them were rough to watch. No offense to anyone. We got a question here. Yeah, there were hundreds. Most were not good. Lee would know. Lee was in on some of those watching sessions. So what are your 3 all-time favorite movies? Again, with the list. I'm horrible with lists.
And that's a tough one, because that's not even narrowed down to category.
No.
Or is it? Is it implied that we're talking about horror movies?
It's implied, maybe. Someone had asked before a little bit, top films. Well, there was films that I watched the most, and then there's top all-time favorite. It's always a little different. 3 all-time favorite films. Wow. Okay. With no genre either. Batman.
This is fun.
No, this is not fun.
I like watching Mark squirm.
My head's going to explode. Okay.
You said Batman. 89?
Batman. 89 Batman for sure. I've watched that many times, enjoy it. That's one of the milestone films, so for sure. And even though I've watched Maximum Overdrive the most, I wouldn't say that was in the top 5 favorites, maybe, but top 3. I would have to say then, along with that would be I know it's a generic throwout, but Empire Strikes Back. I love Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back. There's a reason why a lot of Star Wars fans really tout that as one of the top Star Wars movies, because, I mean, you know it. You watch the body of Star Wars films, especially the trilogy. That one it's like, yeah.
Just to jump in, I don't know if I told you this or I was talking to somebody about it, but I watched the first Star Wars. When I say the first, I mean the real first one, A New Hope, 1977, with my youngest, who's just turned 4, and his name is Luke, for obvious reasons. But we watched that a couple of weeks ago, and we are now planning to watch Empire Strikes Back, and he couldn't be more excited. So I'm going to get to see it through the eyes of a 4-year-old. It's going to be wonderful.
Isn't that always fun when you get people discovering films that you've enjoyed for years, and suddenly they enjoy them, and then they actually enjoy them as well. You know, that's always the fingers crossed. I mean, you know, as a critic, it's one of those things where you give your review and you're like, okay, I just praised that film, and then you get sometimes those people that come at you and go, what the fuck were you thinking? This film was horrible. How could you say this was good? Or just the opposite. You've suffered that a number of times, Mr. Simmons.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure that we're going to have another one of those conversations on Sunday night.
Oh, with Black Widow, yeah.
I won't give away my thoughts, but I know for sure, based on some other reactions in the group that is going to be discussing it, that there's going to be some conversations. Yes.
Yeah. To catch up on some comments here, we've got Lee who said, "Yep, Cadaver Christmas is amazing. It is."
I got to check this out.
Yeah,
I'm writing it down.
It's a Cadaver Christmas. It's hilarious. There's a scene in the closet that just made the whole audience laugh when you see it. It's fantastic.
Can you rent it? Can you rent it? Is it on Amazon?
Yeah, I got this.
Buy it or
I know it's on DVD. I'm not sure if it's on streaming somewhere. I'd have to look it up, but yeah. Angelique asks, if they try to remake Cobra, what advice would you give the filmmakers?
Hang yourself.
You can't remake a classic. You know, you could try to remake Cobra. I would say don't mess with the formula. You know, don't try to make Cobra a very serious action film. You know, I think that's the tough sometimes is some of these films that they try to remake, they missed the point of the movie or the spirit or what made it great. So they try to remake it and try to give it a different spin. And sometimes that works, but a lot of times, yeah, it's Angelique agrees. She says, damn right, Ian, keep your hands off my Cobra.
Normally that's the opposite of the advice I give, but in this case.
Oh, yeah, that's what she said.
I love you, Angelique. That's you're exactly right, Mark, because I could see if they remake Cobra. First of all, I hate to say this because it's such a cliche now, but it's going to be, you know, female Cobra, which is, you know, fine. It is what it is, but they're not going to have the scenes in the opening with the montage of the group of underground, like cult worshippers, like slamming machetes together with the giant spinning fans in the sunlight. Yeah. Like they're going to be like, what is this? This is stupid. No, that's Cobra.
It's one of those things where you can't quite replicate. I mean, it's just like they tried with Death Wish. Now, I haven't seen the Bruce Willis Death Wish, I will say, but let's just say that that's other films that you're just like, leave them be. Okay, yeah. They're a product of their time. There's a reason why you can look at them and enjoy them with you know, childlike spirit, because you're like, this is just so ridiculous and crazy, you know, and genuine. They think, and that's what is missing from a lot of these. And we've mentioned it before, sincerity from films. You know, back then they were making these films very more sincere than cynical. And today, when they try to remake some of those cheesy, campy films, they're more cynical approach than what was the sincerity back then. You know,
I haven't seen the Death Wish remake since it came out. Mm-hmm. And we recently, thank you, by the way, watched all of the Death Wish movies, which legitimately changed my life. But here's the thing. The Bruce Willis Death Wish was not a great movie, but I remember liking it a lot. And it got a lot of heat, I think, because it kept getting pushed back because of certain, shall we say, news stories that kept popping up and pushing it back. And there was a criticism because it celebrated, you know, kind of gun culture. And I can understand that, but it's also like, that's kind of what I missed about movies of that ilk was it is a throwback to the violent armed vigilante movies that used to be in vogue. And if you look at it strictly from that lens, it was all right. It was kind of fun and goofy and bloody as hell.
I believe this is Lee who says, I don't think I could trust someone who doesn't like Cobra. Yeah, that's Lee. And
That's a T-shirt right there.
That's a T-shirt right there. And Angelique says, I don't think they could get past the badass Pepsi Mercy today. Truth. Absolutely.
Someone out there has to have one of these, like on eBay. If they have like the Showbiz Pizza Rocket Fire Explosion puppets you can buy, someone has to have that working fake Pepsi display from the convenience store in the opening. I want one.
I so want that one too. Elisa saw Cobra opening night with a couple of friends. To this day, if I put my hands together in and say tink tink, they will crack up. Oh, the clanging of the cult axes that served really no purpose whatsoever in that film.
I disagree, sir. It served a purpose to make me smile on the inside and the out.
It was very entertaining. And that's what I love about films. And I'm happy I could share this passion of films. It's meet so many people like yourself and Lee, and so many people who've watched the videos over the years with a passion for films, because appreciation for them, because you get these films like Cobra and all these cheesy ones, and then you get films like Empire, that are different but yet still very impactful on our life. I mean, Lee mentioned it here. He goes, the fact that Lee Spawn, his kid, loves Star Wars gave his life meaning. It is. I mean, my children, it was one of those things where I never pushed films on my children. They knew I watched films. They knew I was into films, but I never said, you kids got to watch this with us. But, and some films they drift in and watch, and others they wouldn't. And it was fun to watch them watch these films for the first time. Some of them, it was really cool, especially when they get energized and really liked it, and now that they're older and much older and they have their own opinions, you get them where you're watching the film that you love and they just look at you and they look at the film and they go, okay, Dad. They're just like, all right. I'm very, my oldest son, I mentioned before how he suddenly got into horror films, which blew my mind. And I appreciate that. Now I have someone to watch horror films with. He's he got his own opinions on them, but we have long discussions sometimes on the films, and he gives me some things to think about. And at the same time, I try to, debate with him, and I tend to lose because he's far smarter than I am.
But just keep in mind, Mark, he would not be that smart if it weren't for you. You are part of that as his parent.
Maybe I give that more credit to my wife than
it's a melding.
Myself,
it's a melding. Give yourself some credit. Hey, I have to run in a couple of minutes, but I am not letting you off the hook. What's your third favorite movie? You thought you were going to get away from this, didn't you?
Okay, all right. Well, what have I said so far? I said Batman. Yep. Empire, and okay, Conan the Barbarian, 1982.
All right.
It's also probably my favorite soundtrack. It ekes above John Williams' Star Wars. Okay, I'll give you that. Star Wars DNA, of course, but it ekes just above that. The soundtrack does, because I that's my desert island soundtrack for sure. More so than Star Wars. And if I had to choose between the two, if I could take them both, great. But it's just one of those where, and it's because one of the things I love about it isn't because of necessarily all the exploitation, adult mature matter, but what that film does. They actually didn't have a huge budget for that film. So, and you've got a star who English is a second language to him at the time. He was still having a tough time. So to do what they did in that film and convey actually a Conan-esque story, and it launched so many replicas and clones and imitators, the Sand and Sandal films that, that's one of those films that I enjoy because on many levels, because of what they did. And that music, you can't deny. I mean, it stands alone. You can listen to the music by itself and it's still very impactful. And yes, I agree. Rest in peace, William Smith, very talented character actor. He was in a lot of movies, played Conan's dad. He passed away just recently. He's got He's got one of the best scenes in the film. It's in the very beginning, talking about the riddle of steel, and I love that scene. And it's just this little scene, but it adds so much to the characters. And yeah, so those would be probably three of my favorite. I have more, of course, but if I have to pick three, it would be those three. So,
well, I gotta say, those are some solid choices. I can only speak for two of them because, spoiler alert, I've never seen Conan the Barbarian. I'm going to fix that next year because, as you mentioned, it was 1982, so it's the 40th anniversary coming up.
It is.
My God.
And if you're looking for someone to talk about it, I might know a guy.
Oh, I was just, a seed was planted in my head. I'm like, I got to scratch that off my bucket list, and now I know who I'm talking to.
There you go. So, well, I appreciate you stopping by, Mr. Ian Simmons, and being part of this journey with me quite a bit. I've appreciated quite a bit. You've given me some perspective, and kind of we've morphed the spoiler room a bit. And yeah, I appreciate you on this journey and being here tonight. Thank you for stopping by, for sure.
Well, yeah, thank you for having me, and for, this really is something special that you've put together here. I mean, your whole Special Mark Productions empire. But I mean, specifically with the spoiler room and me being involved in that each week. You keep saying, I don't know why you keep coming back every week. It's because you're opening me up to, whether it's the 52 Degrees KB or the Canon films, like a lot of stuff. I'm a bona fide film critic or whatever, but there's still thousands of movies that I've never seen before, some of which I'd never heard of or didn't think, like, I'm never going to watch that. But then I watch it for your show, and I have these wonderful conversations week after week with you and the rest of the awesome crew, just like expanding my mind. So it helps me, like, it's the reason that I can safely walk away from like these big blockbuster movies. I'm not going to crap on F9 because I still haven't seen it, but I'm like, the attraction of like, oh, there's a big shiny new movie out every week. I'm like, there's a treasure trove of classic exploitation films from 30 and 40 years ago that I've never bothered to watch. I'm gonna go check those out, save myself the headache, and also expand my horizons a bit.
Well,
so that's you, man. Thank you.
That means quite a bit. So thank you. Yeah. Now Doc says, now I'm picturing Mark as Fred Sanford gesturing to his empire. More like, I'm coming, Stella. No.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to jump off. I will see you Sunday.
I should be able to make Sunday. Yes.
Okay.
I'm planning on it. I'll be seeing it tomorrow for my birthday. My best friend of 30 plus years is taking me for our traditional birthday movie outing. We get together on our birthdays or around our birthdays to try to do movies. And so we're going to go to Black Widow. It's going to be his first time returning to the theater. So it should be interesting. And yeah, so I will definitely be there.
Awesome. And then I'm going to be talking to you a lot next week because we also have Texas Chainsaw 2 on Tuesday.
Part of our Cannon Fodder series. So, which plug again for the Cannon book, Volume 1. Can't promote it enough. Austin Trunick, got to interview him. If you haven't seen that interview, check it out. Great book. I can't wait for number 2. He says that sucker's bigger than Dune right now because he's got so many interviews. And yeah, very excited for the second book when it finally comes out as well. So
slight correction on that. Maybe I thought I saw his tweet like it's already bigger than Dune, and now he's going to include the interview transcripts.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. It's already bigger than Dune, and he's got more interview transcripts to enter. So
man,
who knows? Maybe volume 2 might be 2 books.
Yeah, there you go. It'll be the Kill Bill of film guides.
The Kill Bill of film guides. There you go.
All right, man. Take care. Right. Thank you. And happy birthday to you again and the channel.
Well, thank you, sir, very much. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, good night.
Good night. And who else do we got here? The Times has shown Batman, and they've shown a lot of great films at the Time Community Theater, where the Horror Film Fest, where we've been at a number of times. A little theater in downtown Oshkosh, the Time Community Theater. Google it, check it out, folks. And if you're ever in the middle of Wisconsin, you should check out the Time Community Theater. Great organization. Great theater, wonderful supporters of indie cinema there as well. And it's a great time to go down there and see some of the shops too. they've seen Conan time or two or 500. And as Lee says, Last Starfighter is coming up in 2 weeks at the time. I may have to journey. I may have to take the journey for that. We'll have to see if I'm tied up or not. But that is definitely be worth the trip to talk about, to watch on the big screen, The Last Starfighter. So, yeah, in all honesty, I think we will wrap it up unless you folks got more questions out there. This has been fun. This has been a great way to spend an evening on my birthday. You've got great questions. I hope you maybe got some insight into the channel and you know, the stories behind some of the stuff I've done. I've got a lot more stuff coming. We've got, like I said, do the poll. That's going to be open till November for the horror of 1988. I'm doing TikTok. Movie Man Movie Minutes now are out there. There's a linked tree now that you should start seeing a link on all my posts to where you'll have buttons to everything. Occasionally I'm still doing Twitch. We've got a Patreon, and look for it soon. If you join Special Mark Productions group on the Facebook, or join our Patreon, or follow, subscribe to our channel. I have a project in the works. I'm not fully announcing to the public yet because I'm not sure if I'm going to be fully committed to it because of times and such. But there is a kind of a secret project. One more thing that I'm kind of working on, and I appreciate everyone who tuned in tonight across our multicast. I thank each and every one of you for your support. It really means a lot on this crazy sliver of the internet, me doing these things and the experiences I've had. And it is really all thanks to your support and you folks fueling me to keep going and doing this. And we're not done yet, folks. We got a lot of stuff coming. I got Vinylly Minds coming. I've got all kinds of things planned. We're going to be doing some more stuff for Monsters, Madness, and Magic, be doing more written reviews, all of that. And again, you can follow all that like specialmarkproductions.com, Facebook group, all those fun social media stuff. So I will stop rambling now. Thank you, every single one of you. Ian Simmons, by the way, he's got Kicking the Seat, kickseat.com, and also he's got a YouTube channel. He's a beast with interviews and such. You should check out his channel as well. The Time, Cadaver Christmas, all these things I'm promoting because all these wonderful, talented folks, their stuff should be seen. And yeah, so thank you, folks. Remember to keep that ticket stub, and we'll say goodnight and keep your eyes peeled to the channel because we got a lot more coming, folks. So stay tuned.